So waking up early is one of those things that you inherently don't really want to do it. And I guess in that way it's similar to things like, I don't know, exercise or working on something, studying for a project. There's a lot of things that in the moment we don't really want to do, but then long term we can see that they'll be beneficial and we probably should do them. It's like if you were to plan out your life, you would probably agree, right, that less time spent on screens just sitting there is probably better. It's good to work on your own stuff, exercise, keep yourself in shape, eat healthily, go out and experience life instead of staying inside. Like, we kind of inherently know these things, but in the moment, like when it comes down to the individual moment, right, it's hard because it's, for example, with going outside, right, it's comfortable inside. You have your nice chairs, sofas, movie, internet. It's hard to then go out, especially if it's not very good weather, like if it's raining or cloudy or something. It's hard to kind of push yourself to do that. And it's the same with exercise, right? Long term that you should exercise, keep yourself in shape, be healthy. But in the moment, if you're really into a series on Netflix or something, or if your friends say, let's do this, it's hard to kind of fight against that, right? This long-term versus short-term gratification. You may have heard this concept before, right? The idea that in order to be successful and truly happy, you need to delay gratification. So like delay your pleasure, basically. So in the moment, obviously, it'll be more fun to just sit around eating donuts and watching Netflix instead of working out. But long-term, it would be more fun to be ripped and really healthy and strong and agile and have a good body into 5 or 10 years compared to being like diabetic or unable to walk. But you don't think about those things in the short term, in the moment, right? And this is where success is really made. This is where the difference is between successful and non-successful people, is in the moment. Can you delay your pleasure just even for a little bit? Even if you say, okay, I want to watch Netflix, but first I'm going to work out. Even if you can do that, you're going to be very successful compared to the person who just says, you know what, I'm going to skip my workout today and I'm just going to watch Netflix. So how does this relate to the title, which is probably something like how to wake up at 5 a.m., wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning, something like that, right? So how can you actually wake up at 5:30 in the morning and feel excited about it? And because you're probably thinking, well, okay, I know I should wake up at 5:30, or maybe not 5:30, but I know you should wake up early so that you can get more stuff done. This is not hugely debated. I mean, it gives you more time, and usually the earlier you wake up within reason, you have this kind of extra energy that you don't get if you wake up at 9 a.m. And I know this because I've woken up at all kinds of times throughout my life. I've woken up at 4 a.m. and I've woken up at 11 a.m., right? And each one I've done for several months. So I've seen the huge difference in energy and motivation between the different extremes of that, right? So for this title, we're going to say, let's explain how to wake up at 5:30 a.m. But really this applies to any time before, I would say, 8 a.m. 8 a.m. is probably the latest. And it's easier in summer because obviously the sun rises earlier and it's light, and it's also less cold in the morning. In winter, you really have to be smart about it. You have to leave your heating on a timer so that the house isn't too cold in the morning. You have to use like a sunrise alarm clock, this kind of stuff. So really, that's already kind of part of what I wanted to say. To wake up at 5:30 a.m., you need to basically make it as effortless as possible because it's already a lot of effort. So make it as easy as possible by doing things like leaving the clothes you're going to wear, leave them out, ready to put on. Everything you're going to do. So for me, I film videos first thing in the morning. So I leave my tripod and everything, like the mic, tripod, notes, everything set up ready so that I don't need to do anything. It's just kind of already there. And if you have heating on a timer, you can you can set the timer so that it starts to heat the house up 2 hours before you actually wake up, so that you're not waking up in this kind of freezing cold, like Arctic conditions, and it's also pitch black. You can change that, right? You just change the heating timer to heat the house up. Another thing you can do is to use a sunrise alarm clock. This is something I used for many years, and it's about this big, and it basically simulates the sunrise. So you set your alarm time, let's say 5 a.m., and at about 4:30 a.m., it will slowly increase the brightness of this kind of like soft light until eventually at your set time, 5:30 or 5, the whole room will be lit up as if it was daytime. It's actually quite effective, and although they're quite small, like I said, they're about the size of a football or a bit smaller, the light they give off literally does make the whole room feel like it's daytime. So that's another thing, right? Sunrise alarm, set the heating timer, have everything laid out before. That's kind of like the foundation. The next step, right, to make you feel excited about it, is to reward yourself afterwards. So whatever fun things you can imagine, like for the day. So for me, I really have a lot of fun flying drones. So I fly drones like this one and just fly them around the house. And basically, that is what I find the most fun. So I would do that. I would maybe play guitar, maybe play some games. Okay, these are the fun things. So I would save those until after I've already done my work for the day, my filming videos, whatever. Okay, and by doing that, you're training your brain. I could go into more detail on the neuroscience of this, but basically you're rewiring your brain to enjoy effort, and this relates back to the dopamine thing. Strongly relates to dopamine fasting. This idea of like resetting your dopamine receptors so that you actually enjoy basic things more, like walking, exercising, putting effort into things, focus. I could make a whole video series about that, but for now, just try and separate the activities in your day. So when you wake up, you should first do the difficult things, and then after that, you should do the fun things. You should not check your phone. You should not check Instagram. You should not really listen to music even in the morning, first thing, because that's kind of like a reward. That is literally rewarding your dopamine system. So if you start the day with a reward, then what motivation do you have in the neurochemical balance of your brain to do anything? Almost none. And it's the same thing if you have breakfast. I would recommend you don't have breakfast until you've actually already done some things like your chores, your exercise, work, whatever it is. Don't have it, right? Because it's a reward. So I would recommend putting all the rewarding stuff, like say breakfast, social media, watching movies, music, all this stuff, that's all fun stuff, right? Just leave that for an hour or two, or 2 or 3 hours. And first, as soon as you wake up, just smash out all of the stuff that is going to require effort. And as soon as you're finished, like the minute you're finished with your work in the morning, you just flood yourself with all these rewards. And what it does is it basically rewires your brain to enjoy waking up early and getting stuff done. And it's hard to see like how it will do that until you actually do it, but I promise you it works. And it doesn't have to be 5:30 a.m. You can wake up anytime you want. I would recommend waking up somewhere between like 6 and 8, to be honest. 5:30 might be a bit on the early side especially if you're in like a country in the northern hemisphere, or if you don't have that many hours of daylight and it's kind of cold, cloudy, the sunrise is a bit later. In these sorts of countries, waking up at 5:30 is hard, right? Let's not beat around the bush. It's going to be hard, especially in winter. In winter, it's going to be very, very difficult. So this is why you need to do the heating thing. You need to have your sunrise alarm, and you need to have all these rewards lined up after you've done your work. But if you take one thing away from this, please don't just be one of those people who wakes up at 5:30 in the morning and then just does nothing. You just watch TV. You reward yourself just for waking up early. Because if you do that, I guarantee you're going to give up. Because you won't see the point. If you wake up at, let's say, 5 a.m, and as soon as you've woken up, you have breakfast, you check your phone, you watch a YouTube video, music on, coffee, dopamine everywhere, right? Your brain won't see the point in waking up early, because you're just going to immediately give yourself these rewards. And I guarantee by the time it gets to 9 a.m, you'll just feel like crap. You won't want to do anything because you've already woken up early, you're going to be tired, cold, right? And you're also you've already had all these rewards. So your brain kind of doesn't see the point. Like, why would you continue to produce effort and willpower when you've already basically finished your day? You've had the rewards now. So yeah, delay the gratification, delay the rewards. Make it as easy as possible for yourself. Don't wake up in the cold and dark, but at the same time, don't make it too easy. Don't just like wake up and go on your phone or put music on, coffee and stuff like that. Yeah, so this is the ultimate guide, I guess, to waking up early, or earlier than you usually do.